Pinellas County has two especially outstanding destinations that would be fun to visit anytime, but especially on those rainy days you might otherwise be cooped up at home. Our first stop, Brooker Creek Preserve. Jim, this is one heck of an impressive place. What is this?
Oh, this is the Brooker Creek Preserve Environmental Education Center that you're now standing in.
This is some impressive work.
We have 6,000 square feet of hands-on, interactive exhibit fun for visitors.
What are people going to see when they come here?
Oh, they're going to see all sorts of interactive exhibits, both things that focus on some of the different plants and animals that they can see here. And in some cases, like with our World Underfoot exhibit, we've actually magnified the creatures. So things like scorpions and pillbugs and antlions, things like that, we've made 5 times larger than life. The other one that people really enjoy is the gopher tortoise burrow exhibit. We have, again, 5 times larger than life, and visitors can actually crawl through the burrow on their hands and knees, or if they're really little, they can walk, and they can see different forms of wildlife that are oftentimes living in with the gopher tortoise. Things like, I'm not going to tell you because I want people to come and see what's in there. They're not live, but gives them a good idea of the relationship between the gopher tortoise and a number of other species of animals here in the preserve. So that's one really interactive exhibit that we have here. We also have other exhibits like the watershed exhibit, which focuses on explaining to people what is a watershed, where is the Brooker Creek watershed, and what are some of the human impacts that have happened over time.
Okay.
So that's another exhibit that we have. And probably the other one that's a really
big standout
is certainly our object theater. The object theater is a short little theater experience, and again, I won't tell you too much about it, but it actually will give visitors a historical and ecological overview of the preserve. So it's very interactive, utilizing a lot of historical artifacts, and they'll meet characters from the past. We'll just leave it at that.
That sounds intriguing. Now, Jim, you had mentioned this is a fun place, and obviously it looks like there'd be a lot of fun for people to come and get. But that's only part of the mission. The other part is education about what's around them, isn't it?
Right, right. Bringing them in so that it's hands-on. The goal is for them to learn about Pinellas County's wildest place. The preserve is over 8,000 acres. It's tucked away in the far northeast corner of Pinellas County, and many people have not seen what is often referred to as wild Florida. Wild Florida is what this place used to look like. Now, we're not saying that the preserve is pristine. It has had its impacts. Humans have been here for thousands of years, but it gives them a glimpse of what natural Florida is all about. We want them to learn about the ecosystems here as well as the important plants and animals. And the other thing we emphasize in the exhibits, and we will be also doing with our programs here, is the relationship between people and the environment. We are not separate from the environment, we are a part of it. And everything we do has an impact on that environment. So getting people to think about how we do things, could we do things a little more sensitively in regard to how it relates to the environment.
Well, what you're teaching and how you're teaching it, I think people are going to remember the lesson pretty well.
Good, and we hope to reinforce it with actually getting people out into the preserve. So hopefully when you have a little more time next time, we'll get you out into the preserve.
Jim, we'll be sure to stop by.
All right, thank you very much. Good to see you.
And now, our volunteer reporter Doris Don is going to visit the fascinating education center at Weeden Island Preserve. Doris?
Thanks. Joining me today is Grant Craig. He's the environmental educator here at Weeden Island Preserve. Grant, thanks for joining us. And can you tell us about the Connecting People in Place exhibit and what can visitors expect to see and experience here?
Sure. The Connecting Peoples in Place exhibit really showcased the resources of Weeden Island Preserve, from the ecosystems and plants and animals, as well as the great history of the preserve. We have a long history of Native American occupation and some recent history out here as well in the 20s and 30s right up to the present today. This really provides visitors background information, what they would expect to see while walking on our trails. And a lot of our exhibits are designed for all ages. There's interactive aspects to the exhibits where kids can get in and pull and push and put stuff together and really learn about some of the things they might see here on the preserve, and as well as plenty of information for adults that really want to soak up a lot of knowledge about the things out here.
Wow. Now, can you tell me, how would it benefit a visitor to experience the exhibit before actually going into the preserve?
Sure. There's a lot to see out there, and a lot of the animals or processes and things that you would notice walking along the trails are not very apparent, especially if it's your first time walking our trails or paddling some of our canoe trails. The exhibits really provide a lot of background information about some of the processes that drive these ecosystems out here, whether it be the role of some of the small crabs crawling up the mangrove trees, or just more of what's going on, and they'd be able to use what they learn in here and take that out into the preserve and be a more rewarding experience.
There's a lot of great things to see and experience here. What do you want people to understand and know about this exhibit?
That these exhibits, well, they're free, and it's a great centrally located place to come and really learn about our local history and give folks that live here, as well as visitors to where we live, kind of a sense of place for Pinellas County, and not just the ecosystems and plants and animals that are here, but as well as the history of people and people's interactions and involvements with those plants and animals throughout time. And whether it's pulling drawers to discover different information, or actual putting together pieces of ancient pottery and acting like an archaeologist, a lot of these interactions really engage the visitor and allow them to take more of that experience home with them. These exhibits showcase a lot of the artifacts that were found here at Weeden Island and tell us so much about the Native Americans and their interaction with the preserve during their time here. One of the neat exhibits, you can actually pull out a slice of a midden, which these were the mounds where a lot of the artifacts were collected by the Native Americans over time. And you can pull out a slice and see the layers of artifacts and how a midden is constructed. Many of these exhibits show how Native Americans interacted and used the resources that were found here at Weeden Island, and we can make comparisons to how we use these same resources today. The ecosystems, plants, animals of the preserve supported the Native Americans here for hundreds of years, and they'll continue to support us well into the future. And there's a lot of different things that we can do to help ensure that they continue to support us into the future, and that information is contained in these exhibits as well. So this Connecting People in Place exhibit is just one part of the entire Weeden Island Preserve experience.
Well, Grant, thanks for joining us. And make sure you bring the whole family down to the Weeden Island Preserve. And don't forget to visit the Connecting People in Place exhibit. It's fun and it's free.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's a great educational piece for the community as well as for kids. My son is loving it. There's a lot of interactive parts that keep his attention, but I think there's also some great things here for adults, and it's great to preserve the community.